Check.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to VT Sports. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It is the holiday season is here. Just a couple days away from Christmas. We're going a little bit early so we can do Christmas Eve with the families, have all the festivities and everything included. But we are here for you guys because we got a fun show lined up for you today. NFL is full force right now. We've got the playoff picture starting to clear up. There are some interesting races. Want to hit on a lot of those. Phillip Rivers might have found the fountain of youth, and though it hasn't translated to wins, it's been pretty fun to watch what he's been doing. DK Metcalf with potentially a $45 million mistake that he made interacting with a fan. We'll explain that. The finish to that game was insane with Detroit. That was unbelievable. We saw one of the best Saturday night games we've seen with the Bears and the Packers. What a finish that was. And we've got Travis Hartman, our boxing expert. We had him on here a few weeks ago. He's awesome. Great stuff. We're going to have his thoughts on Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. What does he think it means? Is it a success story? We know financially it is. Curious to see what he thinks about what it's meant for the sport of boxing. A lot to get to. Before we do anything else, though, say hi to my guy, Mano. Merry Christmas. How we doing?
Everything is great, brother. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Had a really cool weekend, depending on who you ask. I was kind of interested to touch on this with you. I got to do something that young me would have dreamt of when I was a little kid.
Yep.
So obviously when I was a little kid, the U in like 2000 that was the show.
Yeah.
Right. I got to watch this weekend's playoff game at our boardroom with Willis McGahee and a couple of the old former U guys. I know for you, as a Florida State guy, not great, but for me it was super cool. Got to watch it with a bunch of the old guys, get to see them react in live action. It was great.
Oh, I bet they were talking all kind of trash.
They were.
I'd be curious to know how stressed out they were because I'll say this. As somebody who likes offense, I like a lot of points. 0-0 at halftime, and then a game that really one touchdown was the difference.
Yeah.
I thought it was really an entertaining, ugly game because it's the playoffs, so it's loser goes home, winner gets to keep competing for a national championship. But it felt like every play – you could have a pick six, you could have a fumble, you could have a touchdown. I was on my edge of the seat. I was working, but I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, like just what was at stake. It felt huge, and because the defenses were so great, the win clearly had a massive impact on the passing games. But I thought it was really a fun game for what a lot of people might describe as ugly.
Right. That's what I felt like watching. I was like, wow, there is a lot going on for a game that seems like not much is going on. And you saw guys giving up their bodies. You could see how important it was to these guys. I mean, guys were, you said the hit at the goal line to kind of save the game. Guys are going out to save the game. You could see how just important it was to these guys. And you hope everybody's good going forward. But man, what a great one. I actually played, Coach Elko was our D coordinator in college.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool to see him. He's come a long way from Hofstra, man. A nice long road and tough way out, but man, what a game. There it is.
Yeah, that one there. Out cold. Huge. He's got the fencing where he's out. You can see his teammate is immediately calling over the trainers. I was surprised they didn't even review it for targeting. I'm glad they didn't. Like, I don't want to see a play like that impacted.
Sure.
And then, of course, this interception to seal it, another freshman for the Miami Hurricanes. They're sealing the win. It was a phenomenal game. What do you think of today's analytics mindset? Because I don't know if this came up in discussion while you're watching the game. I didn't consider it one time, but when it's 3-3, the Miami Hurricanes are driving down the field. Mark Fletcher had been awesome. He was up to 172 yards. And then they run the Malachi Toney, the little kind of, wide receiver sweep around the side. Some people said he should have gone down at the 1, like taken a knee, not scored. And because Texas A&M was out of timeouts, they could have centered it up, kicked the field goal, and then there's no chance for a loser. You don't give them back the ball because they scored and there was a lot of time left. And then Texas A&M drives the length of the field and they had a chance to win the game. So this drives me nuts because there were a lot of armchair quarterbacks and some analytical nerds that have never played the game. It drives me nuts that were saying, "Oh, you should have taken a knee. You should have done the right thing there." I thought that would have been the dumbest thing ever. Their kicker was 1 for 4 on the day. I don't trust college kickers. I don't trust any kickers, but I don't trust college kickers even more in those windy conditions. We already saw a field goal blocked earlier from the other team. Like, it's dicey. I did not even cross my mind that they should have done that. Did anybody bring that up when you were watching it?
Not where I was at, but the 1-for-4 thing would have been the biggest thing for me. These guys are not professionals. These guys could crumble in a heartbeat. I'm usually a proponent of getting the points myself, but we have seen a couple of instances. I remember one in the Super Bowl where a guy had a chance to be a Super Bowl hero and score a touchdown. He goes down on like the 2. It's a smart play. You've seen it happen before. Guys get lauded for it. But yeah, in that instance, nah, man, I'm going to go ahead and take those 6 and we're going to keep it going. Yeah, defense has been playing great. So.
That was my take the whole time. I didn't even cross my mind. And Mario Cristobal, who's taken a ton of heat for game management situations being too conservative, I think he would have absolutely been raked over the coals if he had coached them to go down and they had played for the field goal and missed it. He would have been skewered. And like Miami, everyone would have been just ripping him. I thought he did the right thing. I thought you let your players play. And the way their defense was playing, they hadn't given up a touchdown all day. Yeah. They were dominant all afternoon. They had 5 sacks. Granted, they gave up some big plays, but again, they came up with a big play on defense to seal the win. So I had no problem with the strategy at all.
Same here. Same. Yeah. No problem at all. And that's one thing, man. You as a player at that level are coached up in every situation. That is one thing I don't recall ever being coached up. Like, understand you may go down with a couple of seconds left if the clock warrants it, and you could just kneel it out or kick a field. That's one thing we never really touched on.
No, the game has advanced to a place, I would say really in the last 5 years. I don't even think it's 10, but in the last 5 years, I've seen more situational football at the NFL and college football where you see players go down. Yeah. And then, of course, the people who are the most upset about it are the bettors, because sometimes it's the difference between a cover and a loss or whatever. And they want to win by a touchdown as opposed to winning by 3, and that becomes a mess. Every team now, I would say at every level, college and the NFL, they've got these services, these consulting services that they pay a lot of money for, and they have these books, like notebooks full of information. Some of it's probably on an iPad too, where it tells you exactly what you're supposed to do. So there's somebody that probably in that situation for the Hurricanes had it up and said, hey, should we take a knee here? Should we go down? And I don't know if that was a circumstance there because it was happening so fast. Yeah. But if it was a 3rd or 4th down, almost all throughout a game, and you see the analytics pop on NFL, ESPN on Monday Night Football, on college football, it'll say, analytics say you should go for it here on 4th down. You should, punt it here on 4th down. Teams are more attuned to the analytical situation. What gives you the best probability? Because we used to punt all the time on 4th down. Like, we hardly ever went for it. Now, if you look at any box score after any game, it's like they go for it 3 or 4 or 5 times in a game, go for it on 4th down. And they do say that it does increase your chances. If you do go for it, it's better to get a first. It's not the worst case if you have a turnover, turn the ball over on downs, you let your defense get it, as opposed to, punting it away. But they are way more focused on the analytical aspect of it.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bunch of times on this show, like weighing the balance of an analytics coach versus a guy who just goes from his gut. And I think as a coach, if I were a coach myself, if I had to go down and get beat up one way or the other, I'd rather be going down and getting beaten up with my gut rather than sticking to a notebook and then saying you should have had the guts to make the call.
I like to know it so you have an answer, and I would probably use it in certain circumstances. But you see a lot of teams go for it on 4th down, like on their own 28, 30.
That's how we used to play Madden. Like, I never punted in Madden. A lot of these guys play like I used to play my video game, where I'm like, I just got confidence that I can get 2 yards right now, and
I asked you a question in the text thread for the group chat before our game, because we're looking at the NFL Week 16 of the books, only 2 more weeks of the regular season. Right. I can't recall a time where you've seen so many teams eliminated from the playoff picture. And I do think there's been a ton of parity, right? Like, I don't know if you trust any team out there, but the amount of teams that have been eliminated from discussion, I mean, it's almost half the league has been done. Like, they don't have anything to play for except the role of spoiler. And then it also kind of makes the groups that are playing for a playoff spot that much smaller too. A lot of the stuff is figured. Like, the NFC East is done. Yeah. It's already the Eagles, and everybody else in the NFC East is limited. I cannot remember, with 2 weeks left in the season, and I credit we're 17 games as opposed to 16 when I played, but I think it's kind of a really interesting dynamic that I haven't seen unfold.
Yeah, what do we have? Are 10 spots of the 14 locked right now?
Yeah.
It's weird. I think it definitely takes a lot of the juice out of the last couple of weeks of the season. But, if I try to play devil's advocate, I think maybe, we've seen over the last couple of years where teams are going into the playoffs with guys banged up, and you're like, man, I would really like to see how these playoffs shake out if this guy was healthy or that guy was healthy. Perhaps being able to kind of lock in gives these teams now a chance to get their guys together, maybe rest them up the last week or two and see if we can get in there full strength. I think that'd be a a lot of fun to see a playoffs where everybody is locked in and healthy going in. My question for you is, do teams like KC and Cincinnati and Dallas being out, does that jack you, like, does that like kind of turn you off for the playoffs, or like will you see some new blood in there, or do you like, you like to see some
I like new blood, but I also like I get the aspect that you're not going to have Mahomes,
Joe Burrow,
like
the
there's
Cowboys,
some star power,
the Vikings.
But I also like seeing like Drake May has been an unbelievable story. Like I love that aspect of him being a rising superstar in the game. Bo Nix as a chance to be a 1 seed. Like that's crazy. It's only his second year in the league. It's pretty crazy. So I do like the new guys being able to rise the occasion. And Caleb Williams, like we're going to get to see him in the playoffs.
And it seriously ramps the pressure up on guys like Herbert and Josh Allen, right? What do you think these guys are feeling it? Like Josh Allen is in the playoffs right now without Mahomes, probably without Lamar Jackson, without Joe Burrow. Like that guy, if he doesn't win it this year, man, I mean, then it really reflects on him, right?
Nobody is under more pressure this season and this postseason specifically than Josh Allen.
Has to be, right?
Because he's been the guy with the MVP, with all the talent in the world, with a team that has been knocking on the door. And one of his biggest problems has been having to go through Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. And now that those guys are gone and you have to go through some of these younger guys, this is the Bills' year. And if it's not, I do have to start to wonder if it's ever going to be their year. Like it is setting up perfectly for the Bills to make a run, for Josh Allen to get his first Super Bowl. And yet I don't really trust him to do it. If I had to take a team from the FC, I'd probably go with them because of the experience, because they've been close. But it is definitely by far from a done deal.
And let me ask you this, because this has been a thought in my head. I'm curious to see how these games go, how these games are reffed now, because with all those stars out, I'm very curious to see, will they let Jacksonville, Seattle, Indianapolis, and Carolina be your last 4 playoff teams? You know what I mean?
Now you sound like Puka Nacua. Now you sound like conspiracy theory. Like, what are we doing? The script is already in? You think so?
No, but Puka Nacua sure didn't seem distracted this week.
No.
12 for 212 or something and 2 touchdowns. Now he played awesome. But yeah, I'm curious to see, like, you're so used to, I mean, in the NBA, we see it all the time. LeBron's been in there for 100 years. If he wasn't, you can see what kind of drastic down the viewership takes in this year without Mahomes, without Burrow, without Lamar. All these guys, like, do people want to see? I mean, Philly's still there, but I think a lot of the young quarterbacks would be huge. I think it'd be sick if it was Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and maybe a Herbert or a Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy played out of his mind yesterday.
Call me crazy, but a matchup I would love to see.
Tell me.
In the Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford versus Josh Allen.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
I think that'd be great. I think that's and from a TV standpoint, the Bills to finally get there, a team from LA, and the Rams getting there. Yeah, Puka Nacua was not impacted at all. Sean McVay did seem a little bit agitated by some of the stuff off the field, and deservedly so. But he did say, because he was asked, was Puka distracted? And he literally told the media, did you watch him play?
Yeah.
He didn't look too distracted.
Definitely did say that.
So he will not be there.
But how crazy the 2-point conversion thing.
Oh, yeah.
Never in your life. Guys, I would say the moral of that story is A, play to the whistle, and B, know the freaking rules, guys. You have to know the rules of backward pass.
Yep.
Like the one guy, was it Charbonnet?
Yes.
He was the guy with the wherewithal to jump on the football?
Yeah.
I mean, it gave him 2 points. That was the game.
Yep.
Guys, we don't have that. Do we happen to have that clip, that crazy 2-point conversion that everybody was confused about? It was like a backwards pass, right?
Yes.
And it got tipped. And the whole, this is the last one. This was the game winner.
Right.
But with about 6 minutes left in the fourth, Sam Darnold threw what amounted to be a backwards pass, and everybody on the field stopped moving except for Charbonnet after it got batted down, who jumped on it in the end zone. I didn't even say jumped on it. He bent over and picked it up with one hand.
Yep.
And this is really the difference in the game. Watch. So nobody's paying attention except one man, and there's the game.
And he kind of didn't. It wasn't even like he knew.
He just
I don't think there was much of a sense of urgency. I think he kind of lucked into that one. For sure. Yeah, that was a wild, wild finish.
That's crazy.
The Rams, I still trust the Rams in this division. That NFC West is absolutely stacked with all those 3 teams, the Seahawks, 49ers, and Rams. But I look at the path to finish out the season. Seattle still has remaining at the Panthers, who are much better, and at the 49ers. And meanwhile, the Rams' path is the easiest of all those teams. Granted, the 49ers looked pretty good last night.
Did they ever?
But they only have to go to Atlanta, and they play Arizona. So I think they're going to be heavy favored in both of those games. I still think the Rams are the team to beat in the NFC West, and I do think they come home with that one. I want to get to last night's game because I actually sat down and for the first time, I very rarely watched like pregame coverage. It was a slow Monday night at the house, sitting there with my daughter, my 13-year-old, and they started talking about Phillip Rivers, who's been an unbelievable story.
Amazing.
And after his game where he had him in a position to win in Seattle, I think everybody was surprised, but he didn't do much. Like it was a lot of handing off. I think they ran the ball 80% of the time. And it was like, what do you expect from him now?
I think he had more passing yards in the end of the first quarter this week than he had all last week. Right?
Yeah. So like they were talking with him. So we're kind of getting into it. My daughter was getting into his story. And of course they were like, Dad, why aren't you playing? Like, why can't you go out there and play? I was trying to explain to him. I'm like, Dad wasn't anywhere near as good as Phillip Rivers. And Dad's a little bit older than Phillip Rivers still. And they were like, no, you look younger than he does. I'm like, that felt pretty good. I felt pretty good. My favorite part of watching Phillip Rivers, and I know he came up short, and I know they won, and he threw a pick six at the end of the game. I've said on here a bunch, it's easier to play quarterback now than it ever has been before. When they aired the broadcast, I loved how they had it on television because you could hear Phillip Rivers working at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And so you could hear him. They did a lot of double cadence stuff where he comes up and he goes, wide 80, set hut. And you see what the defense is doing. Yeah. And then you get into a play that works against that defense. I mean, it reminded me of Peyton Manning, how he used to be a coach at the line of scrimmage. Right. And he was orchestrating and directing traffic and getting good plays. He knew exactly where to get rid of the football. And that is somebody who cannot move in the pocket. He is not going to hurt you with his legs. And he still threw for, 275. He had a few touchdown passes. Like, he looked really, really good. I think it's a lesson to a lot of younger quarterbacks who rely on their legs, who rely on their athleticism, who rely on their arm talent to save them. You don't have to have all that. You can beat teams still with your mind and knowing where to go with the football quickly. I thought it was an expert class, a master class on quarterback play for somebody who clearly is limited in what he can do, but can still execute because of his mind.
Yeah, I took two things away from that. A, just the amount you must get out of like a full, hard week of practice, right? Because he came in on, a Wednesday? And even knowing the offense as much as he did, you could tell that they were a little condensed, right? They did some stuff, but they really didn't open it up like yesterday. What he got out of the last week was incredible. Like just the leaps and bounds they've come in the last week. What I would also say is the receiver in me, that's very difficult to go from I don't want to knock Daniel Jones. I don't know how much Daniel Jones is doing that. I don't know how much the backup is doing that, when Daniel Jones went out. But even for a receiver to be able to kind of go from not having to hear all that is a lot to think about out there. So shout out to the receivers who did a really nice job of making the adjustments. There wasn't too many times they looked real like, flummoxed, where they looked like they were out of sync and all that. He underthrew a couple of balls, but more times than not, they didn't seem like they were, crossing lines or anything. They seemed like they were on the right. He threw a lot of anticipation plays, like in breakers, where I was like, wow, he looked like he's been throwing with these guys for 6 months.
No doubt. He played great. 2 touchdowns, 277. He did have the interception late, but he was outplayed by Brock Purdy. And I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this, but Kyle Shanahan was telling the broadcasters, like in their production meetings before, that they were prepared to sign Phillip Rivers. The 49ers were, back when Brock Purdy was a 7th-round pick and was forced into action. And I wonder if Brock Purdy was aware of that. I'm sure he's been told or been aware of that. And so I thought it was a pretty cool story that Brock Purdy was kind of able to vindicate himself from an organization that probably doubted a young rookie thrust into the lineup, and they were looking for opportunities. Kyle Shanahan even said that he told Phillip Rivers to be ready throughout the season, and there was a chance he could have started in the Super Bowl had something happened to Brock Purdy. And, of course, it never happened. Brock Purdy did play pretty good in that Super Bowl loss. Yeah. But I thought that kind of connection was pretty wild, and that was 4 years ago. Yeah. That they were still having that conversation. I thought it was pretty unbelievable. Really cool story, and Brock Purdy had almost a perfect game. 5 touchdowns, did have the 1 interception, but he has played great since coming back from that toe injury.
And he's done it all without Brandon Ayuk, which is pretty crazy, right?
Yes, he has. Off the field, there was some interesting action as well. DK Metcalf, who was a big offseason trade for the Steelers, bringing him in to be Aaron Rodgers' weapon. I talked to this dude at the NFL draft. He was coming out of Ole Miss. You want to talk about a specimen. He's taller than me. We've about the same body type, maybe 4 or 5% body fat, long arms, looking good, 6-pack. He might be in slightly better shape than I am. The dude is a freak of nature.
58-inch vert, 140.
It's insane how athletic he is.
Yeah.
But his play on the field was not the most thing that caught the most attention. It was the interaction with a fan that took place. And now I've seen players go up and kind of have words. Mm-hmm. One time in college, I had a teammate that did punch a fan. In college, you can't get fined, though. You can't get suspended. He was reprimanded by Coach Bowden. But unfortunately for DK, he did grab the guy by his thing, and then he kind of slapped him. I don't think he punched him. If you look under that stupid wig or whatever the guy was wearing, he kind of slapped him. But cameras are everywhere. They caught everything, and they caught this interaction, and so did the NFL. And now we find out that DK Metcalf suspended 2 games for that action.
Yeah, I think first angle, it probably looked the worst. Like from that angle, it looked like he hit him. As you see a couple of different angles, you could see he was almost just like, piss off, guy. There is so much to this, though, right? The deeper you dig, what happens now? So DK stands to lose almost $60 million in guarantees because his contract has a clause in it that states if he fails to play or practice with the team for any reason, all his guarantees in the future become null and void. So he's not going to lose him specifically, but definitely. But the craziest thing now is that it leaves the NFL in a very unenviable position, right? Because this guy, if you look into the story, he's got a history with DK Metcalf. The same fan tried DK last year when he was with Seattle, and DK Metcalf reported it. Now, the hard part is he's got a 2-game suspension. I don't think any of us believe that this suspension, the act warrants losing $60 million, right? I think we're all on the same page with that.
Right. No.
But it leaves the NFL in a position where they almost look like we don't care about the fans if we do overturn it.
Right.
And if they don't overturn it and he misses these games, he now stands to lose that money. So that's the really tough part for the NFL that I'm glad I'm not in that room right now because you have to make the decision. But we do have a clip that I sent to Deli and Malik earlier. And it's actually the fan after he, does this. This is the clip right there. If you guys can run it, you'll hear him say, that's exactly what the goal was. Oh, listen, something like that. He's right in the front. Hold on, I know I sent it to these guys. It got like a caption. And if you can hear him well, he's saying something like, that was the goal, like that's what we did it for. And at that point, I'm like, so the guy was reported last year.
Yeah.
The NFL didn't do anything about it. And then he came with intent this year. I think that gives DK Metcalf a bit of a leg to stand on. Like this guy came out of his way with the intention of making you, react. I think maybe they have a little bit more of a case now on this appeal, but we'll see, man. This is crazy.
This dude is the worst. Yeah. I want to punch this guy in the face. And he's not even in his seats. He's coming up specifically to bait DK Metcalf and doing what he did. As you pointed out, he said that was the goal.
Yeah.
This drives me nuts. Now, I know the NFL cannot have. They do not want a malice at the palace type situation where you can't have players going up and getting into it with fans. Mm-hmm. But this guy has to be kicked out of stadiums too. He should be banned from attending NFL games as well because you can't have fans allowed that type of access that are specifically there just to bait the player into doing something stupid like that. There's a couple angles where you see DK Metcalf, and he's got some security in the vicinity of him. Like there's even a police officer because I think DK had reported him.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything. They're not getting the guy out of the stadium. They're not coming in between DK Metcalf and the player. Like they just kind of let him go over there. I think even the Steelers, like security, every team has security. They should have been more aware of this. Look, I am not absolving DK Metcalf. You cannot do that.
Right.
But I do not think it is worthy of the 2-game suspension. I think they should appeal it. It should come down. There's also a cost for him. If he does, have the 2-game suspension, it voids $45 million in future guarantees, which is way too costly for him, for DK Metcalf. I don't think anybody thinks it's worth that. So it'll be interesting to see what the appeals process goes for. But I cannot stand the fan that did that. He celebrated. As soon as he got hit, he turned around and he's like celebrated. Like he scored a touchdown.
Well, this is a microcosm of the world we live in today, right? Yes. We talk about Twitter fingers a lot. I mean, look, I'm the king of getting killed because like people will do it. It's actually I give people credit and it's really funny. Like they'll bring up my NFL profile and be like, there's not really much on here. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like it's the bottom of the top 1% I'm comfortable with.
Right.
But it's like people are of the belief, like they
Trolls.
know. Well, they know their goal is like, I can say
get a
anything I
reaction.
want to these guys without them being able to do anything back. And it sucks because that's the way the world is, man. Like they say, like you can pretty much, you have the freedom. That's that First Amendment, right? You have the freedom to say anything you want. But if you don't put a hand on a guy can't put a hand on you. And it sucks because it empowers idiots like this to be able to feel like I'm protected, I'm safe. And look, at the end of the day, if he does punch me in the mouth, I'm getting paid for it. So that's what sucks about the whole situation. These guys are people. Obviously, DK Metcalf probably gives off that superhero vibe more than anybody. But at the end of the day, man, he's got a fuse. He's got a limit. And if this guy year after year is doing something, there's been rumors that the guy has said a racial slur.
Right.
And I mean, I can't put myself in that position, but I can't imagine that I'd be calm and not want to punch him in the face himself if he didn't, if he said something like that to me.
This guy embodies the real world troll who sits in his basement just peppers comments at everybody who's famous and wants them to say something back so they can screen grab it and say, I got you.
Yeah,
that's essentially what this guy is. And he's in real life, doing it in real life, and he got him. And that, to me, is the biggest type of loser that is out there.
And the sucky part about it is, if that guy's done it, someone else is going to do it now. And they'll feel empowered to, oh, wow, this guy got away with it. This guy might even go to court now with a neck brace and get something, That's going to give somebody else somewhere else the vibe like, oh, I can go do this too. And it's crazy. Like, that's a hard sport to have it happen. You think of things like the NBA. NBA, they're right on the court with guys. I can't believe the players are able to kind of show the restraint to not have that happen. More.
You know what else? If I'm DK Metcalf, I am pointing out. You don't want to throw any other NFL player under the bus, but remember the Bills were playing the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson went and shoved a Bills fan.
Yeah,
that was more reactionary. It was a heat of the moment. There was a celebration. The fan said something, and he shoved him. He didn't hit him. But I think if you're DK Metcalf's attorneys and his representation, you're saying, wait a second, there was a precedent that was set. You didn't do anything to him.
Totally.
This is way too harsh.
Totally.
So we'll see what they do there. I know Travis Hartman, our buddy, that's going to help us break down the Jake Paul fight, is I think he's ready to go. Let me see if we got him here on the Zoom. Because, there he is. Looking good. Travis Hartman.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How we doing? Uh-oh. I can't hear him. Can you hear him?
I cannot hear him, but I'm a good lip reader, so I think he just said, what's up?
There he is. No. All right, he's going to fix it. We'll get to him looking good. I mean, he's got the
He does look sharp, though.
Yeah. I mean, last time I gave him a hard time because his computer wasn't plugged in, so it ran out of battery. We good to go?
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
He is. He's ready.
I like the Christmas shirt, little Santa on the beach. You're feeling good. You're hanging out with Anthony Joshua after the fight.
Right.
How we doing, man?
Oh, we're doing good.
Oh, he's even
Congrats
got a cocktail?
now, Chris, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
father.
We appreciate it. I was super pumped to get you on the first time. We had done some talking on Connect, and we were all geeked up about it. And then, life threw this baby at me and it kind of got in the way. So it was a beautiful reward, but I'm sorry I missed you. I'm glad we have you on, my man.
It's a blessing, man, to be a father.
Totally.
Yep, no doubt. You were Nostradamus, man. You came on here when we talked about this fight, Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, and you said, I remember, you said the people are going to get what they want. Jake Paul is going to get knocked out. What did you think of the fight, the way it went down? This is what Jake Paul does. For a casual like me, it was right after the college football game ended, the playoffs, and I tuned in and watched the whole thing. My 13-year-old daughter was watching it with me, and we were watching it go down. And all she's like, why does he keep falling down, Dad? So I guess what did you think of the fight itself? It wasn't the prettiest fight. What did you think of the night in itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of brilliance in what Jake Paul does. I mean, as you know, you just pretty much said it, and your little girl was watching the fight with you. Like that's Jake Paul. He brings in so many different demographics of people, and it sells. I mean, I think they said the Netflix viewership was like 33 million people are watching. I think they set a live gate record at the Casilla Center over any other event that's been there. So they're doing pretty good. But for the fight, it was really tough to watch, but it was, Jake Paul had to do that, if that makes sense. Like that was what his game plan was going to be. He was going to move. He wasn't going to sit in front of Anthony Joshua, who is 6'5", 245. He's a mountain of a man. Jake Paul's 6'1". He's barely over 200 pounds. But he wasn't going to sit in front of him. And when he got close, he held him, which was boring. But it was funny because I was watching the fight next to a 22-year-old media guy. And after the first couple of rounds, they were all freaking out because they were like, oh my gosh, why hasn't Anthony Joshua knocked him out yet? I go, relax, guys. Relax. Because I found out when I got to the arena that the ring was a 22-foot ring. And normally the rings are 18 foot. So as soon as I found that out, I was like, nope, I adjusted my prediction. Originally, I said 3rd round knockout by Anthony Joshua. After I seen the ring size, I knew what they were going to do. They were going to run around the ring as much as they could until they got tired. So I predicted 4th through the 6th round, ended up happening in the 6th round. And guys, that punch that Joshua hit with him, he knocks out every other fighter in the world with that punch. I mean, there's a reason why Jake Paul was the #1 trending topic on X, and the hashtag was respect Jake Paul. I think he earned it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you in that case. I think if you asked me, I would sign up for $92 million to take an Anthony Joshua right. But at the end of the day, 2 broken jaws, top and bottom, and the dude stood up at the end. You know what? He took his best, well, I don't know if his best shot, but he took a real good one, and he did stand up at the end. So for that, I absolutely do have to give him respect. I didn't think they'd make the walk. I've been saying it for months. I thought they'd find a way out. How much of it do you think? I felt a little Conor Floyd in the sense that I think Anthony probably carried him a little bit. Like Anthony Joshua, I think he could have ended it a little earlier if he wanted to, right?
Well, so here's the thing with that is, could he have ended it earlier? Yes. If he would have caught him earlier, yes. But Anthony Joshua, because that ring was so big, live, I had a super good view of how big that ring was live, straight back. I had a great view of the ring, and I don't think he could have, because he couldn't catch Jake Paul. And I'm telling you, even a seasoned veteran like Anthony Joshua, it's very hard to cut the ring off. And as soon as you cut the ring off, the guy moves. When a guy doesn't want to engage with you, it makes it so much easier to not get caught with a big punch. I mean, Jake Paul only got caught because he ended up sitting on the ropes and Anthony caught him. So I don't know. I don't think so. I think if the ring was smaller, I think Anthony Joshua would have got to him sooner and, yes, knocked him out. But we all knew as soon as Anthony Joshua lands one shot, it was over. And that happened. He landed that one shot right on the button, and it was over. We knew as soon as that happened, it would be. But I don't think that he carried him because of this. In the boxing world, the professional boxing world, the little fraternity that we're kind of in, the longer this fight went, the worse off for Joshua it was. So that's why I know that Joshua, in his heart of hearts, and I got to chat with him pretty privately a lot too, and I know he wanted to do better. And even at the post-fight press conference, I asked him, I was like, hey, man, I know you beat him, and I know you knocked him out. I go, but was it a success for you? And he said, no. He goes, I should have done better, and I can do better. And I thought it was pretty humbling, but also he's a class act. If you watch some of the videos that I posted about it, he answered my questions in such a class act way that I became such a huge Anthony Joshua fan, because he got up there and he made a point. He goes, you guys know that if Anthony Joshua would have beaten, or if Jake Paul would have beat me, he would have been up here dogging me and just talking all this crap on me. He goes, I'm not going to do that. He goes, give Jake Paul his respect, because he got in that ring with me, which is a lot of people haven't done. And he took my shot. And even though he went down, he got back up. I mean, his eyes were open. He wasn't knocked out cold. So for me, I thought it was kind of impressive. And I know that's crazy to say, but I thought it was kind of impressive. He's got 2 broken jaws in 2 different spots. I think he's got plates in his mouth now. So, and they both laughed their way to the bank.
Yes, they did. I have a theory because my daughter, I was trying to explain this to her, because I don't think he was falling down to slow down the fight. I thought he lost his legs.
Oh, yeah.
I used to have to do stadiums after I had interceptions. I had a couple games when I had 3 or 4 interceptions, so I had to do 5. I ended up doing 20 stadiums. And after I would do those stadiums, I could not walk. Like, I could not find my legs. I'd go in the shower after. I remember my legs shaking, like trembling. And I thought that's what happened to Jake Paul. Like, I thought he lost his legs, which is so hard for anybody that hasn't really trained hard to understand. Like, when you literally cannot, I don't think it was any shot to the head. I don't think it was dizzy. I think he lost his legs. And my theory is he does so much leading into the fight. Like, there's the pre-hype, the pre-fight on fight day. I mean, he's in there with he's got a whole room full of people, and I didn't see much Anthony Joshua. Is that normal? Like, when you were prepping for a fight, would you have that many obligations to do so much media and have many people in there? I thought if he would have saved some energy for the fight, he might have been able to last a little bit longer as far as his legs. I think he still would have gotten knocked out, but I thought he was just gassed.
Danny, I think you got a new career, man. You're not just an NFL guy. Like, you just broke that down brilliantly, because you're right. When he got in that ring and he started tackling him and holding him, it was 100% because his legs were gone and he could no longer run as fast as he could. And that's exactly, the guys next to me, they're very they were journalists and they were media guys, but they never fought before. So when they're watching, they're like, what's going on? I go, he's about to get knocked out. Watch. As many times as he was holding and then falling down and then tackling Anthony Joshua. And unfortunately, I can admit this. I've been in one of those fights, in a pro fight, where I got tired and ended up getting sloppy, where I tackled the guy a couple times and we got in a hold and we got wrestling around. That's what happens when you get tired. It's just fatigue. And think about it. You're Anthony Joshua, who's 6'5", 245, probably came into the ring 260, honestly, because he usually weighs more than 245. That was a weight stipulation that Jake Paul then put on Anthony Joshua. But to have him laying on Jake Paul for 6 rounds, yeah, man, like think about that. He's squatting essentially 245 pounds, 260 pounds every time they get in a clinch. And they clinched a lot because of Jake Paul. Like every time Anthony Joshua got close, Jake Paul was grabbing him, wrapping him up, and he had to do that. And if I'm Jake Paul's coach, honestly, it was a brilliant game plan. It sucked for the fans to watch, but that was the only how he was going to go 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua. And a stat that they just posted, Jake Paul landed more shots on Anthony Joshua than Ngannou did when Ngannou fought Anthony Joshua. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I think that Jake Paul is what he is, but for me, I said it with you guys too, Danny, on the podcast. I was like, I think it's brilliant because I think he's trying to earn respect from the boxing world. And I think I was right, because the trending topic on Twitter after that fight was #respect Jake Paul. That was a #1 trending topic in the world, not just in the States, not in one region. That was the #1 trending topic in the world. Like, this kid, he sells.
Yep. And I don't think his work ethic coming in is a question. Like, I don't think his legs died because he didn't train for it properly. It's just impossible to replicate the intensity, the adrenaline, all that stuff, right? As a fighter, you probably know you can train as hard and as long as you want to in the lead up. But when you get there, and when you get there at that level, like Danny said, there's so many things going on. At some point, you're just going to dump, and that's it, right? Now, let me ask you this. I know in UFC, it's become a thing where they build a guy up and a guy loses a fight, and he still maintains his marketability and his ability to kind of get back to the top. I know for a long time with boxing, when a guy loses that 0, it ends up really being a detriment to them, and it kind of stifles where they're at. Is Jake Paul, now that he's got this L, he's got the loss to Tommy Fury, what does his perspective look like long-term? Because I get the feeling you think he's a pretty good fighter. Like, he was able to move around long enough. He was able to dodge a little bit and duck and avoid getting hit. What do you see his future looking like now?
So I need to correct it, though, because I don't think he is still a true professional boxer like I was.
Okay.
In the regard of, I fought, all of my fights were against very high-level guys. But I do think he's capable, and if he sticks with it, maybe he could be a fringe contender. He's not going to be a world champion. I know he wants to be a world champion, and I like Jake Paul, and I like their whole camp, Most Valuable Promotions. I like them. So this is not me talking smack. This is me being realistic and honest. I don't think he will ever become a world champion. And I'm not a dream killer. So if he believes in that, I hope that he goes for it still. But you got to give the guy some credit for the self-belief that he has in himself, because it's so delusional that it's kind of brilliant at the same time. I mean, guys, 3-4 years ago, if you would have told me that Anthony Joshua was going to fight Jake Paul, I would have said, you guys are crazy. Like, there's no chance that happens. Or Jake Paul's going to fight Mike Tyson in an actual sanctioned fight. I'd have been like, you guys are absolutely crazy. So there's just some brilliance in what this kid's doing, and we're talking about it, and rightfully so. Like, he's putting on a show. But to your question, though, where does he go from here? I think talent-wise and hard work, I think you touched on it. He does. He works hard. I mean, this kid legit works hard, and that's what I respect about what he does. I've said it on many podcasts, and I say it again. He's a hard worker. He goes through the process in training camp. He had legit pro heavyweights coming in and beating the crap out of him for sparring for this fight. And you guys got to realize this too. Everybody says, oh yeah, I would have took $92 million to get in with Anthony Joshua. Well, Jake Paul was going to get paid that same amount to fight Gervonta Davis, who was 135 pounds. So I give even more respect to Jake, because Jake didn't have to fight Anthony Joshua. He chose to fight him because he could have made that money fighting other people, lighter people that he's bigger than. And he chose to fight Anthony Joshua. So to me, I'm just like, dude, he would have made that kind of money fighting whoever he wanted to. And the fact that he chose that, it was strategic for sure, but he got his jaw broke, man. Like, that was what I was going to say, is going forward, is it's not his talent, but I know many pro boxers have gotten their jaw broke before. I believe Muhammad Ali got his jaw broke even, but it's tough to come back from that. It's very tough to come back from that because a broken jaw is no joke and it's no business to deal with. So his healing process is going to be very important. And I think his bank account is going to look really, really good going forward. And I think that's going to take that love away a little bit of stepping back into the ring, because think about it, guys. Like, he's healing up right now and they say he's in a lot of pain healing, which I know he is. Why would you want to step back in the ring? He got hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. Like, why would you want to step back into that scene again? And because he's gonna have to now kind of continue to fight other pro boxers. I don't think his shtick of fighting other guys, these exhibitions or these retired MMA guys, is gonna work anymore. I think he has to continue down this path. And I don't know if it works out well for him.
Do you think we see Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury? I know that's what AJ called out after he said he wanted him. I saw Tyson respond. He was calling him out and criticizing the fight against a Disney kid. I mean, he was taking every shot. There already seems like there's a war of words. Do we actually see this fight, you think?
Man, I hope so. I think it's a fight that's too late, honestly, but I think it's still a fight that has a lot of relevance, especially in England, because they're both two English guys who honestly both ruled the division for a minute. They both did. They're both quality opponents still. I still think it's a great fight, but I hope we see it. Tyson Fury is, man, that guy's brilliant too. He's brilliant, kind of like Jake Paul, the way he markets and the way he talks and the way he brings people in to watch. And I think that lead up to an Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight would be worth the money alone. Just the lead up to it. You guys know Tyson Fury. You see all of his antics and like, it's pretty cool. I do think we see the fight though. And I'll tell you why. I got the vibe, and this is, Anthony Joshua did not tell me this in any way. This was just my own personal vibe from hanging out with him, talking to him and seeing it. I think he's almost done with boxing. I think the only fight he could get up for would be a Tyson Fury. And that's a mega fight. They're going to make a ton of money. Right. So unless he fights Tyson Fury, I think he's done. And I think that, yeah, I don't know if his love is still there. Like, he acted like he's back. That 15-month off, so he kind of got a refresher, right? Because he took 15 months off before he fought Jake Paul. He was out of the game for 15 months just to kind of refresh and all that. And now he's back in Alexander Usyk's camp and all of that. But I don't know if his love is there like it was when he did rule the division. And I think in boxing, I think we talked about this last time, Danny, I think boxing is 90% mental, 10% physical. The guy's a physical specimen. We can see that, right? But I don't know about the mental right now. I don't know. And boxing's tough, man. Once you get towards the end of your career, your body might still think it can do it. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope we see it, because if we do see it, I do think you'll see the best Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. I think you'll see the best of both of them because it's an in-country rivalry. But I think it's a big fight. I mean, Anthony Joshua sells out Wembley Arena with 90,000 people on a regular basis by himself. Tyson Fury does too. It's a blockbuster fight that needs to happen. I'm hopeful, because I talked to Eddie Hearn as well, who's the matchmaker or the promoter for Anthony Joshua. I'm gonna, I'll go on record with you guys, because I'm doing pretty good around with my predictions. I think it happens. I think it happens late next year. I think later in 2026. Usually blockbusters fights happen in May and September. I think it's going to be in that time frame. That's my guess. And I hope I'm right, so I can come back on the show and tell you guys, like, look, I got this right on accident.
All right. So you talked about Joshua maybe not being all in on fighting anymore, but we do know with athletes, their earning potential and the windows aren't, they don't go on forever. But I heard a rumor that because Anthony Joshua is an English guy who fought in America, he had to give up like half of this purse, which is crazy. So what is the, what can we look to see if he does fight, Fury down the road? Does it become is it the biggest fight of all time, purse-wise? Does it supersede? Is it right now? Is it Pacquiao Mayweather? Is that the highest earning fight of all time? And does Joshua Fury pass it? Because look, if you're fighting for 92 million and you come home with 48, which is what I heard, at the end of the day, 48 is great, but it's not 92. Is that enough to get him back in there? And then what is the ceiling for what this fight can be, gate-wise and money-wise?
Well, I'm not a tax expert, but I know that the English definitely tax their people a lot, which is why us Americans got away from that, right? That's why we're here. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're touching on something very big. And this is what people don't understand is, yes, we're professional boxers, but we're also professional prize fighters. We fight for money. We do. It is about the money when it comes to boxing. We do fight for money. That's period. That's what it is. That is open. It's out there. Yes. Do we love it? I loved it. Yes. But at the end of the day, I fought for money. If you're telling me as a pro, I would take that beating for free and just for the love, I would never do it. Nobody would, hardly. So it is for the money. And I think what's probably going to happen is that fight's going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And I think that Anthony Joshua is smart, and so is Tyson Fury. I think they're going to hide their money pretty good. I think if they get paid over there, they'll probably keep that money over there because that Turkish Al Sheikh is a very smart guy. He just got named Promoter of the Year by Ring Magazine, I believe, which is good. He's helping boxing. He really is. But yeah, I think that I don't know if they do the numbers that Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao did, because this was back in the day when pay-per-view was a thing, right? I think they did 4.2 million pay-per-view buys, and usually 1 million pay-per-view buys. Pay-per-view buys is amazing. They did 4.2 million at like $100 a pop. They like set a record for the all-time live gate at like 20 something million MGM Grand. So I think it's going to be very hard to top that, because I believe Floyd made 220 million, Pacquiao made 100 and something million. So I think that's tough to top. However, you're talking about Saudi Arabia. I think that Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is printing money. So I think both these guys, you're going to see equally 100 million at least each. And it probably could creep up to 200. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We're talking about $100 million. Like, it's no big deal nowadays. Like, it blows my mind, because I'm a boxer. I'm like, I retired at the wrong time. Like, what am I doing? But they're paying a lot of money. But I don't know. I think it is a great big fight. I think it will do more money than any other fight right now, for sure. Will it break Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather's? I don't think so. I don't. But it could.
Last one for me, and we'll get you out of here. Bud Crawford retiring. What'd you make of that?
I'm not sure, because me and him are good friends, and he's going to come back on my podcast, Weighing In with Travis Hartman, and we're going to chat about it. He's 38, and on my podcast 2 years ago, he did tell me, because he'd won 2 undisputed titles in 2 different weight classes, which is like only a handful of people have ever done that. And I asked him, I was like, hey, you're 36 now. Like, you got to be thinking about what's next. And I was like, what's next for you? He was like, a 3rd undisputed in another weight class. And he goes, then I walk off into the sunset. He said this 2 years ago to me on my podcast. And I was just like, really? I mean, after you win 3, man, like, that's hard to walk away. He was like, yeah. He goes, that would be it. 3 undisputeds in 3 different weight classes. And guess what? He just did that with Canelo. So the fact that he lived up to that is pretty cool, but you guys know it, like all athletes, it's tough for us to walk away, right? Like, we might retire, but Tyson Fury's retired 3 times already.
Right.
Literally. Like, so, I hope the best for Crawford, because he has made some very good business decisions. I mean, he owns a lot of real estate. He does a lot of smart things, actually. So I hope for his own sake that he does stay, but guys, I'm not going to judge him if they offer him $50 million or 70 or 80 or $90 million to come back and fight, because he can command that, because he's 42-0. He's did something that nobody's done. In the 4-belt era, nobody has done what he did. 3 different undisputed titles in 3 different weight classes. It's unheard of. And when he jumped he turned pro at 135 pounds, and he won a world title at 168. It's insane. He literally 6 weight classes. What is it? It's crazy. So I don't know if he'll stay retired. If he does, good for him. The only fighter that I know that I can remember that retired at the top was Lennox Lewis. He beat Vitaly Klitschko, and arguably probably was losing that fight, and he was on the scorecards, but he beat him because he busted him up pretty good, and he walked away, and everybody was like, nah, he'll come back. And they offered him so much money time and time again, and Lennox was like, nah, man, I'm done. And forever, he retired on top. He was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he retired and he walked away. And I was like, man, good for him. And I've had many conversations with him, actually. I've sat down and I've drank with him in Jamaica with Lennox Lewis and heard stories from him. It's like, it's pretty cool. But will Bud stay retired? I don't know, guys. Your guess on that one is going to be as good as mine, because I don't know until I ask him right out of his mouth and hang out with him privately and see. I don't know. I haven't gauged the realness of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's almost always that the game retires you. If you're able to go out on your own terms, like an Elway or something like that, man, there's nothing like it. Is there a fight in your head that could potentially draw him out? Is there somebody that you have in your head that you think could get him out? If anybody can do it, who is it?
Well, I mean, the only big money fight would be a rematch with Canelo, because even though he beat Canelo, Canelo's the cash cow of boxing. He's still the cash cow. He still demands all of the money. He still demands all of the media attention. He's got that big Mexican following. And I like Canelo, and I do like him. So I think a rematch with him would be the only thing. But there is a guy named John Boots Ennis Eddie Hearn, who promotes Anthony Joshua. He promotes John Boots Ennis, and he's like 154. I don't think Crawford should do that, but I mean, he could come out for that, but I don't know if anybody's going to pay a lot of money because nobody's heard of Jerron Boots Ennis, commercially at least. So I don't think he does for that. Only one he would come back for, in my opinion, would be the Canelo fight. And honestly, I don't want to see that, to be honest. I don't. I like Canelo, I like Crawford. It was over. I think that the same result happens again. I think Canelo needs to just move on as well and fight somebody else, maybe even rematch one of his other losses. But I think that would be the only fight he could do, honestly, that would actually bring in that kind of money, and which I think is not going to happen. So I think he stays retired because I don't think there's any blockbuster fight that makes sense money-wise, at least not next year. Maybe somebody emerges. Maybe Jerron Boots Ennis comes back and just like gets into that commercial appeal with the average population and really just goes nuts. Then I think you could see Crawford maybe want to come back because, I mean, like everybody, you want to be the best, right? And Chris, you touched on something brilliant though earlier that I wanted to respond to, and I didn't. You were talking about a UFC when they lose once, they're not done, you know? And in boxing, that's something Floyd Mayweather ruined, I think. He was great for boxing, and he also was crappy for boxing because he retired undefeated. And he made everybody believe that if you lose once, you're done, you're terrible. I think boxing's making a comeback in that regard, that you're seeing a lot of fighters now take really tough fights and keep going. Even if they lose, they're not written off. They're still putting them in other very, very tough fights. So I think because of that guy, Turkish Al-Sheikh in Saudi Arabia, I think we're seeing that. I think he's making tough fights because he's paying the guys to fight each other. But we're seeing very, very good, tough fighters who's got both undefeated, but they want to fight each other because they're getting paid for it now. And we know one loss doesn't ruin you. So I think it's catching up to the UFC in that regard, in my opinion.
Awesome stuff. Travis, you're the best. Always great insight. I have an idea, too, that just kind of popped in my head because I was thinking VT Sports, you're a big part of it. You're a boxing expert. We're exploding. The Fury-Joshua fight, probably about a year. At that point, will be massive. We just have to hit up PBD. We all go over together. We do a little on-site show. I think we're all in, right?
Let's do it. Okay, in that regard, I'm predicting that fight will happen next year. And we're all going.
Yes, I love that. Awesome stuff, man. Give him a follow at Real Travis Hartman. Have a great Christmas, man. Enjoy it. Have a happy New Year. Thanks again for the time.
God bless, guys, and Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas in that way, which I do. But otherwise, happy holidays.
You got it.
Trav, thank you, bro.
All right, Travis. Good stuff, man. He's awesome. That was really good insight. Pretty fun, too. He was there hanging out with Anthony Joshua. He sent me a photo after. To see that was incredible. I didn't get your thoughts on the fight itself, though. What did you think?
I think Trav kind of wrapped it up exactly like I feel. The respect was there. Like, I thought if it happened, it was going to be, I don't know. I'm so tired of watching him knock out old UFC guys. I thought either they were washed or they were taking dives. Both of them left bad tastes in my mouth. I feel much better about him as a competitor after this. And he was right. He was going to fight a guy 135 pounds, and he could have backed out. And he said, no, thanks. I'll go ahead and mix it up with one of the best to ever do it. And he definitely earned my respect going out.
For sure. There's our guy right there with AJ after the fight. Pretty cool stuff. All right, let's finish up the show with some reactions here that the fellas found for us across some viral stuff, content, if you will, out there on the internet. Oh, here we go. What do we got here? A little Reggie Bush.
It's okay to lose, but it's not okay to not try. In life, you got to get in there and you got to swing and never give up. Thank you very much, everybody.
Top G, Andrew Tate getting in the ring again. Did you happen to watch that?
I did. It was still on when I was hanging out at the boardroom. And yeah, he's right. I actually was one who thought if he went in there and took an L, it was going to seriously damage what he was doing. But he did what Conor did. Man, you got to lose graciously, right? If you go in there and you take an L, you take an L, man. We all do. Everybody, there's nobody in the world who hasn't. he handled it great. He hasn't been in the ring in 10 years. I think he's cool. I'm good with it.
Yeah, that one thing that always blew me away with Conor McGregor because he talked so much trash about his opponents, and then he'd get his butt whooped in a couple of them, and you're like, but he always gave credit and gave respect where it was due. Good to see Tate do that as well. What else?
In convention in New York City, we have two presidents in Washington. George W. Bush, our leader of the free nation. He's been in term 4 years. Reggie's a little younger, only 2 years. Mr. Bush is a conservative. Reggie's a tailback. Known as Mr. President, Reggie just the president. Second term, George Bush is seeking the end zone for Reggie Bush, and he's hit it twice.
I love that clip, but you know what's kind of sad about it? If they did that today, it would just break. The people would be so upset and they'd be mad. And if you brought up Trump's name, any football player, it doesn't matter, NFL, college football, people would just lose their minds and they'd be like, oh, you're taking a side. That was just fun.
Yeah.
But we can't even do that anymore.
Yeah, wild reach to be able to compare the two of them. I've never would have even thought of it, but you're 100% right. In today's world, that thing would have been an issue. Glad to see it wasn't there. Glad we could bring it back up and and not get anybody on the set. That was a good
find. That was in the deep vault right there.
Sure was.
All right, what else we got?
For y'all, I want everybody to give a round of applause for his baby mom, Barbie. Give it up for her, y'all. Give it up. Give it up for her, y'all. Hold on. She about to come up. She got something she want to say to this damn beat. This damn beat. I adopted your son last week. I adopted your son last week. Hold on. She got two breakers for this. I adopted your son last week. I can't wait to see you get mad. Get mad. I adopted your son last week. She team scared. Hey, come here, Barbie. Come here, baby.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. You gotta get your ring.
That is next level right there.
That was a promotion by Jerry Springer, it looks like.
Yeah,
oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even know what to say about
Who's
that.
the dad? Who's
Unbelievable,
the dad?
man. This guy, if I understand correctly, he adopted his opponent's son.
Yes.
That's probably
I
great
think so.
for the kid, huh?
Is that a boxing or UFC or what?
No, I don't think that's
wrestling.
I don't know. It sounds like a wrestling storyline. Guys, at the end of the day, though, I mean,
That's boxing.
That's boxing.
Real life boxing. Boy, you tell me about getting ticked off in the ring.
And
the dude adopted his kid.
Yeah, that's probably awesome for the little kid, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. There's a kid involved. What are we doing?
Yes, that is true. That is a little bit sad there. When you think
I thought that was
about
Marshawn Lynch at first, by the way.
Yes. All right. What do we got here?
What? You call me a oh, okay. Appreciate it. What? You call me a oh, okay. Appreciate it. Ooh, hey! 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 That's because you said bad words. He was talking to me. He called me a bad word. I don't know what he said. He said something. He pointed at me. He called me a bad word. That's called karma. Instant karma.
I love it. Cooper Beebe actually went to the internet to explain what he was calling him, saying their terminology says whole R, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Whole R is the terminology he was calling him. That's a great interaction. Mic'd up sometimes in the NFL, you find gold mines. That absolutely is gold right there.
I think they tried to play it like he said. They think they tried to play it like he said something racist.
Yeah.
This will be probably the first and last time you ever get a positive Jimmy Kimmel-like comment on me here. They used to have this hilarious segment called Unnecessary Censorship.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd have regular people speaking, and they'd censor like random words, and it would just make these sentences seem so foul, but it was hysterical. That's kind of the feel I got there. But good for Cooper Beebe to come on out, man. That'll kill your reputation. You remember how long you thought about Mason Rudolph saying something crazy like that?
Yeah.
That's a reputation killer if that gets out there.
I saw this last one. Marcel Reed, Texas A&M's QB, spotted with a little 1942, I believe, straight from the bottle.
That's pregame?
No, not pregame, but it was like probably, what does it say? Last weekend, because they had a little extra time. Maybe not locked is the Marcel not locked. I have a problem with this one because, I mean, are they supposed to just sit around? I mean, hey, college kids do college kid things. And it wasn't the night before the game. If it was the night before the game, I'd have a serious issue with it. I think it was the weekend before, like when the team has a night off They go out to parties. They go out to bars. I think that's kind of messed up that Aggie fans or whoever is putting that out there and being like, oh, this is why they lost the game. Marcel Reed wasn't locked in.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, I think I agree with you, but I'm of the belief, like, it's like when guys know they're going to get tested and you're like, dude, just 2 weeks. Just don't do it for 2 weeks. You remember when the Giants went on a boat trip?
Yes.
Remember they came down here and they had 5 guys just chilling on a boat? And then they wound up playing an awful playoff game, and that's something we talk about 10 years later. I'm just like, dude, I get it.
There it is.
There it is.
Infamous picture.
I mean,
Boy, they've been in a funk ever since this photo.
But for me, it's like under normal circumstances, I'm big on let the kids go do whatever. But like 2 weeks, just maybe don't go drink, whatever you're drinking in a party of 200 outside. I don't know. I think could have probably done without it.
Yeah, I hear your point. I think you got to cut loose sometimes. Cut loose a little stress.
But even optically, though, you knew
horrible.
back
Yes.
when you were playing.
Also,
like we're playing in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Like I'm Danny Kanell. I start for the Giants. I probably shouldn't get caught out there.
Well, that's why thankfully there weren't cell phones around because I might have been not going that crazy, not like drinking straight out of the 1942, but I might have had a cocktail or two. Yeah. But it does. Optically, you have to be so aware of what everybody's doing
for sure
out there. Awesome stuff. Fantastic show. Thanks to the fellas in the control room. Always good stuff as always. Thanks to Travis Hartman. He was great too. We'll be back. Make sure you give us a follow. Follow the channel. Subscribe. Hit some comments at Danny Kanell.
At Man O' Steel. Guys, have a wonderful holiday, whatever it is you celebrate. Thank you for checking in with us, and stay locked in. We may have something really cool coming for you right after the new year.
Yes, check that out for sure. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you.